edition of the Moviescramble podcast. On today's show, we are dropping in on a Q&A which has been held for the Oscar shortlisted film On My Mind. The film is directed by Martin Strang Hansen and is produced by Kim Magnusson. And on the Q&A, they are joined by the lead actor Rasmus Hammerich. Please enjoy.
Er det karaoke?
Tæller kun i weekenden. 500 kroner for en hel sang. Du må da virkelig elske karaoke.
Jeg vil bare gerne synge for min dame. Trine, den her, den er til dig, og du ved godt hvorfor.
Elvis, det er time to leave the building.
Hi guys, you're all very welcome. Thanks for joining us. Great. My name is Vincent Lam. I'm an Academy Award nominee from 2019, but today I'm here with the cast and crew of On My Mind, which is one of the live-action short films shortlisted for an Oscar this year. So congratulations, guys. Yeah, it's great to have you here with us. I think we'll start by just getting each of you to introduce yourselves. So Martin, let's start with you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Martin Strange Hansen. I'm the director, writer, and one of the producers of On My Mind.
And right next to Martin here, I'm Rasmus, and I am the main character. I get to play the main character, Henrik, and I'm a Danish actor and graduated National Danish Theatre School back in 2006.
And Kim.
And my name is Kim Magnusson. I'm one of the producers. Produce this together with Martin in our two companies as a co-production. And very happy to see you all and happy to be here.
Great. Well, great to have you all with us. First of all, right, Martin, congratulations on making the shortlist. How did it feel when you saw On My Mind listed there?
Well, of course, I was really, really excited. I mean, this was a short film we did for no funding out of pure passion love, like 1 year ago, more or less on the minute now. And for it to suddenly be here in this super elite of films is just, it's incredible. So I was thrilled.
Right. Yeah. Well, congratulations. I think it deserves to be there. And yes, it's a really beautifully made film. So yeah, it's one of my favorites, and I was happy to see it there. So tell me, what was it that inspired you to write this story?
Well, there's a couple of inspirations. It's always like that with stories. It's not just one thing, but for me, it's several things. On a fun note, I remember when we had a rap party of one of my films, and I was drunk, I was happy, and I was in a karaoke bar. And someone from the crew said, well, Martin, don't you want to sing a song? Yes, of course I did. And 3 hours later, people were still trying to get me away from the mic because I didn't get the rules of karaoke and just love being there and being in that moment. And that gave me the idea of what if a character wants to sing a song and it's the same song over and over again. And then that connects with the other part of the idea, which is a very, very personal matter for me, because it's based on an experience I had when my daughter was very sick. And while we were actually waiting for that limbo, are we going to say goodbye to her now? Or will she survive another year? Fortunately, at that point, it was another year, but we were in that limbo. And for me, that was getting that feeling of being there and you're about to say goodbye. And yeah, which basically is the main driver of the story.
Right. Wow. That's that kind of makes it even more poignant then, doesn't it? Yeah. It's a sad story, but it's kind of an experience you've dealt with. So is this something that you've wanted to tell for a long time? Is this a theme that you've been looking at for a while?
This story was kind of new for me, that I wanted to tell this story, because I've always told stories that was kind of close to what I had experienced in some way. But this is the first time that I'm going so directly at, should we say, the main core of one of my personal, very emotional points in life. So it was something that came up last year while in lockdown and while everyone was kind of away from their loved ones. I think that also affected me in some way, that we were all away from the ones we were close to in a way.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So Rasmus, you play the lead character in this, right? And it's a lovely performance. Yes. So congratulations. Yeah. Henrik, is it Henrik? I'm probably saying
it's Henrik, yeah.
But yeah, really lovely performance. I really liked it. Yeah. So just tell us a bit about your character and what's going through his head in the film.
Well, the fun thing was that Martin actually called me up in the beginning and asked me to be the barkeeper. And,
right.
and at that point, and I read and said, okay, send him a script. And I read the script and I was like, I played that character before. And then I was like, I called Martin back and I said, yeah, I don't want to do it. I want to be the main character instead. And then he said, okay, give me a couple of days. And he called me back and said, okay, we got a deal. And then I got to be Henrik because I kind of fell in love with the character because I thought as a character who has a really big emotional depth, but he has so much trouble saying it out loud because if he says it loud, then it becomes real for him. So he'll do anything to suppress it. And still he has to do something and he knows he has to do it, but he wants to wait, but he knows he can't wait any longer. So it's kind of like this. And then he has this experience of seeing the karaoke machine and then having all this reason to want to sing the song and say the last goodbye. It kind of like gives him the possibilities to have the perfect goodbye to his loved wife.
And I would say getting Rasmus on board gave me the opportunity to rewrite with a more silent character in mind, right. Which in so many ways resonates and gives it even more depth, that character that he had.
So he talked you into it, Martin.
I mean, yeah, he was, I always like a challenge, and he challenged me by saying no. And then he got me thinking about what it would be like if we had this character, which was even more to my main experience of being in a Western kind of way. A stranger walks into a bar and he's silent. And I thought that Rasmus, with his, being a big guy, there was a more dynamic feeling to that character, was if he has all that pain inside and he can only get it out through song. So yeah, thanks for the challenge, man.
Yeah, well done. No, it's lovely, and there's a lovely subtlety, I think, to your performance as well. You know, your face and your eyes, and so I think it was a good decision in the end. Well done for talking him into it, Rasmus. So Kim, you are the producer of On My Mind. How did this start for you? I mean, what was it about this film that made you want to get involved?
I mean, Martin and I have known each other very long. I mean, we actually go back and have been so fortunate to actually win an award before. So Martin actually came out of film school and did his thesis film that he won the Student Academy Award. At that time, they couldn't compete in the main categories for winning, like they can these years. But then he came out of film school with a fellow producer that came to M&M, and then we did another short that went on to winning the Oscars the same year, basically. And then they went on to do features together. And then we have been aparted a little, but of course been very close in the business, both doing work together at Odense, and also when I was chairman of the Producer Association and Martin at the Directors Guild and things like that, we of course cross our paths always. And then when this was coming up and Martin had to do it and we had to finance it and all that, we just got to talk about it. I mean, we kind of meet every year at a couple of festivals, and I mean, the business here is very small for people. So we, of course, know each other. And then Martin called me and said, I have this, this story, and I pitched it to me. And then I said, I love it. And then we made a co-production on it. So that's how we got around it.
Right. Well, no, it's a lovely film. You guys have both been to the Oscars already with the film and won, right? So, tell us about that, Martin. When was that? Is it This Charming Man it was called?
Yeah, it's This Charming Man. And my son is on his way of leaving on a jet plane, and leaving home, because he's 18 years now, right? He was 1 week old when I won the Oscars in 2003. So for me, that was at that point, I felt very fortunate to also have this feeling of connect with actually having a young baby at home that I needed to also attend to. But of course, it was the best best night of my life, of course.
Yeah, and it was, so that was 2003, is that? Yeah, and have you found like your approach to filmmaking has changed in the years since, like from when you won the Oscar there to making this film now?
I don't think I got the question.
So have you found like that your filmmaking style has changed, or the way you'd approach filmmaking or anything, has it changed from back in 2003 when you won that Oscar, or is it still kind of the same type of stories and themes that you want to tell?
Well, I think there's always a core that is deeply connected with me, which is that I tend to go towards darker subjects, but have a comedic touch in them, a comedic undertone in them, because in a way, for me, that is the way of portraying characters is in a way of having loved the characters. So I think that is a thing that is you'll find also in my next film is close to me. But of course, I've gotten a lot of experience since. So going back to making a short film like this was also, I mean, a challenge to go, well, I'm doing it like there's no budget, there's nothing, but can you still do it like those film school years in a way? I won't say reinvent, but get back to your roots.
Yeah. I mean, I that's what I kind of noticed about this film, that, you know, it's heartbreaking at times, you know, but there's also this kind of these comedic undertones to the film. So I mean, was it important for you to get that balance right?
Yeah, it is, because I have a feeling, I have a thing with the audience. I kind of like them, but I also like to have my film resonate and, so you say, massage their hearts, because that's the way I get in talk with my audience mostly. So for me, that also, because when I was in that situation back then with which was very, very sorrowful about my daughter's sickness and all that. But we were always laughing. We were often burst into laughing. And so for me, it was like, there's a balance between sorrow and laughter, which was really close sometimes. So that's why I wanted to have this undertone in it.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, it's I think it works very well how you've done it. So there's lots of questions here from journalists. So I see one here for Rasmus, and Samantha Bambino is asking, have you ever sang in public, or have you done karaoke before? And how did it feel to do that? Was it something you were comfortable with?
I was lucky enough that we have singing in the 4 years during the theater school in Denmark, so I was lucky to get a little bit of the teaching and there. I've done 1 or 2 musical performances in Denmark, but karaoke bars in Denmark was very popular in the late 90s when I started going out. So I've done a few, but we don't really have them anymore. So it's been such a long time since I had the experience of singing karaoke live. So when Martin told me that, I was like, oh, how is it? How does it work? And I loved being on that stage and getting to sing. But it's not me singing here. It is me singing, but it's Henrik. So he's not as comfortable as I would be if I got up there. I probably would be like Martin, that you had to pull the mic for me after 3 hours.
Right. Did Martin tell you to purposely make it worse?
We talked about, because Henrik kind of have three tries on the song, and the first one he gets in on the wrong note, and he's a little bit more shaky, and then he gains confidence in the third take. He has his hat off, he has opens his jacket, and he's a bit more confident when he sings that. And I think when you see the film, I try to have the words resonate more with him in the third try. He's actually listening to what he's singing, which is a very, very beautiful song if you listen to the words. On My Mind, maybe I didn't hold it quite as often as I should, which is like, then he actually hears it for the first time, I think, when he sings it there. So he gets a little misty-eyed. Right,
yeah. So there's another question here from Business Film, and if you again, Rasmus, they're asking, what drew you to the film, and were there any particularly difficult scenes for you, like, to film? I mean, what would you say?
I think the whole thing about the glass and the breath on the glass and the whole breath of life and the whole that talk was hard, because I wanted to, of course, it's emotional for me, but it's not sentimental, because he's not in a position where he he has acknowledged that she's gonna die. He's still in some way fighting that maybe a miracle will happen. He knows it because he doesn't believe in miracles, but I think the little grain of hope is still in him. So he talks about it with honor and passion for his dying wife, more than something sentimental that he makes up, you know. So I thought that was a tricky part, because I always wanted Henrik to be non-sentimental but still moved. So I thought that was kind of like the hardest.
Yeah. Okay, so here's an interesting one from Arts Muse magazine. Martin, it's for you, because it's such a personal experience that inspired this story. And the question is, was making the film therapeutic for you? Did you think?
I think here I could say that it was, but I mean, one thing is that it's many years ago, and for me, the memory of my daughter is a fond memory, and also her death actually is something that I can go back to without being torn apart, because I think her life, short as it was full of joy for us, had meaning. So in that sense, I would more say that instead of it being therapeutic, it was more like, okay, so now I'm actually putting out there for other people to see. I mean, everyone I know knows it, but then now it's going to be public property in a way, my story. That is maybe the hard part in this part of it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, same kind of question as Just Celeb was asked. Was it a difficult film for you to make? I guess when you're giving, something so personal of yourself, putting it into it. Yeah. I mean, is that something that you find difficult to share, or do you think that's something that makes it a better film?
I think it makes it a better film, for one thing for sure. But I've also kind of been rehearsing, telling embarrassing stuff about myself and stuff I'm proud of, because it's there I often find the essence of my own stories. So in that sense, it's not scary to go there. The scary part is to sharing it with people you don't know, because you don't know how they will look at you afterwards. And that's what I always find interesting. But one of the things that I find out with this film is that it resonates deeply with, people across the board. Teenagers are very affected by it. Older people, of course, people in my generation, my age. And I've also heard people saying that this is about Corona, isn't it? It is about people that all those people that have not been able to say goodbye. And he gets
really,
yeah,
right. That makes sense now. Yeah, and you said you wrote it during the pandemic.
I wrote it.
I just want to from that. Can I add a comment to what? Because about this, Martin, when we shot the movie, the whole Martin's personal story wasn't present. And even at a moment, I say a date, which is the marriage date of Henrik. And then afterwards, we went out for break, and I said to Martin, "Oh, is that your daughter's birthday, or is it the day of her death?" And he was like, "No, that's just a date I made up." So I thought that he would actually make an homage or something with me having saying the date, but it was actually so far from the real story that even the date wasn't it. So I thought that would be a...
But the funny thing was, just when you said it, was like, oh, I should have done that.
Too late.
Right.
We already moved around, so you can do it again.
Yeah, and you're so respectful, because I just wanted that date to be right, and but it's okay.
Yeah.
So Kim, let's bring you back in. Yeah. So how did you find working on this? Was there anything like particularly challenging in getting the film produced, or
no? Because
the pandemic.
No, I think as Martin said, it was shot during the pandemic, and we were a very, very small crew, so we kind of actually limited to very, very few people who just needed to be there. So I was actually not so there during the physical production. It was more developing and editing and the whole other kind of producing, because we couldn't be there. We were not allowed to be that many people during the pandemic, so we cut it down to the people who really had to be there. So we would talk behind and all these kind of things. And then I could just see some of the questions here while I have the word in a second. Then there's one here about what is it that attracted me. And I think it comes very clear that from what I said prior to this, is that working with Martin early on, of course, always been nice and always been having a great relationship. That's one part. But just the story that we just heard, very, very honest, very, very honest and very, very, what do you call it? Warming in a way, even though it's a sad, thing about death, but I still feel that it gives warmth to the heart, because I think it's about losing, of course, but it's also about keeping. And I believe that's a very, very important thing, that you keep those memories, as we just heard Martin saying about the memories of his daughter and all that. And we didn't want this to be a daughter. I mean, that hasn't really been talked about here. And we don't like talk about like that this is like Martin's therapeutic and all these kind of things. And that's also why it became a grown-up story and not a child, because then it would be so much focus, I think, and maybe I'm talking for myself now, but it would be so much focus on the whole child issue. And we didn't want that to be like, oh, children dying is always worse than, I don't think older people dying or grown-up dying or something like that. The whole thing about losing a child, that we didn't want it to be about losing a child per se, but we wanted it to be about losing somebody, but also keeping those great warm memories that it is that you have with people. And also that is, a very warm, heartfelt story. And that's what attracted me when Martin pitched it to me. And then we got on to, do it. So that's, that's really what I felt about it. And that's why I wanted to be part of the team.
So while I've got you, Kim, right, there's another question came in from Arts Muse magazine. And I think it's because you've been nominated for an Oscar 6 times. You've won 3 times, right? So the question here from Arts Muse is, what's the secret to your success? Is there a secret to, or are there certain themes that you feel like work for Oscar shorts, or that connect with Academy voters?
Yeah, I think, Vincent, we know each other also going back and talked about these issues. Yeah, I feel, there's only one answer to that, and that is making a great film. You cannot win an Oscar or any other award if you don't make a good film. So maybe my choices of themes and films and what they're about and all that, maybe that goes with the majority of Oscar voting members. I don't know, but yes, we have had a great track record, but also I'm just thinking about it. It's also just that I keep on doing it because I feel the shorts are so important, because it's about raising talent and give talent a chance to be out there in the world. And on this story, of course, Martin has been, when we first did the first films, Martin was a brand new talent. Then he's been working since. But making this story was also, I think, like Martin said earlier, it was during the pandemic, and there was this story that if you kind of, that you could do in a small film. And for me, doing short films, you have to look at the story that they get rounded, that they are there for that minutes, 15, 20, 22 minutes, whatever the short is. And then you have a fulfilled storyline, not trying to become a small feature, or not trying to, imagine that you're taking this story and putting it into a feature. It would have been something else. It would not have been so, now we get right into what it is about. The main characters, Rasmus is playing, that this is the moment where he just needs to do something quickly. You could have expanded that to 2 hours, but then you have to get all the stories about why, who's sick, and how did that happen, and blah, blah, blah. This is so condensed, and you get the same feeling. And I feel like doing shorts and keep on doing them, and I just basically, I read that article, some of those articles coming out with the different, reports. And there was one yesterday about Spielberg that, if he gets nominated this year, he would be the first director that has been nominated in 6 decades in a row. And I'm just saying, if we get nominated, I would have been nominated in 4 decades in a row. So it just seems like and it's not to say that, but it just seems like, I keep on doing it because it really is I have a love for that. I have a love for that kind of filmmaking. I have a love for short films. So yes, I've had great fortune and success, but I also made a lot of films that didn't have the success. So it's not like just every time we do a short film, we get onto the success part. But I just keep doing them because I feel that they're important, and it's important to raise the talent. I know it's a long answer. Sorry about that. I just get so excited.
Well, yeah, here's hoping for another Oscar nomination, Kim, for both of you,
Yeah, that would be great. 20 years after the last one.
So actually, and there's a question from Louise Reynolds, Martin, right? So it says, so congratulations on making the shortlist. Did you anticipate this, and what would an Oscar nomination mean to you? Another one.
Wow. Yeah. No, I did not anticipate this. I mean, the first thing was it was about making it and getting it out into the world. So for me, was really what I really love about this, of course, is that it now has a life. It is in the world. It can travel. It can go out, and it can, again, connect with an audience, because that's what, in a way, my main focus is on this film, because what it's about is something we all will be experiencing in some way or another. And why not? Yeah, then why not connect with an audience?
Film business, what would it mean for you to win a second Oscar?
It'll just blow my mind. I think honestly, I don't know what to say. For me, being here with this, in a way, it was very different with the other one. It was a big budget, and we had a way big budget. I think 10 times bigger than this one, right? I was just out of film school. I had my head in the sky. I was away. Everything's amazing, and now being able to mature and still being able to tell a story like this, and getting it over there I just feel amazing.
Yeah, good. It's a great place to be in, isn't it? So yeah, congratulations again. So there's a question here from Samantha Bambino, which is an interesting one, and says, can you touch on the significance of the ending when the handprint appears on the window?
Yeah. Oh, thanks a lot. Because that was something I really was thinking a lot about. For me, that ending is about, of course, it's significant. The signification is that she's gone, but in a way, we all leave marks. She's just left her mark in his heart, right? And I remember from that period myself going through sorrow, going through all of that. There is that light where you feel the presence of the one you just lost, and there's so much there. And in a way, I wanted her to be in the film, all through the film, without her act. We never see her face, so she becomes this. She's here inside of him, and in a way, that's why we're going there and seeing that hand, which is kind of the imprint of her soul, right?
Right. Yeah, lovely. And so back to you, Rasmus, then. Yeah, I think, it's a lovely performance, and you get such a nice, there's a real nuanced performance there. You can say a lot with your face and your eyes, so there's just a nice subtlety there. Is that something that, you apply to all of your roles, or was this role different to you to some stuff you played before?
No, like I said before, that when Martin asked me to do the barkeep, that role I played before.
Right.
So that was why, and I was at a point in my career where I thought, from now on, I only want to do things that challenges me.
So you're getting a bit typecast. Were you as the barman? Right?
I was. I'm 6'2", and I have a bit of authority in me. So I've played all sorts of different police officers or criminals. And I thought, okay, this is just a regular guy, and I rarely get to play the regular guy. I've been fortunate to do that sometimes since, but just a guy with a real genuine problem. So I really went into seeing how, like I said earlier, not making it sentimental, but just being a man in myth, sorrow, And still we talked about her death is not something that's been known for years. You know, he hasn't had time to do it. This might be something that happened within 3 weeks. So it's kind of like also he's in shock in some way. He hasn't really thought about what's going to happen. He hasn't, she's not been in a hospice for a long time, and he's recaptured his own life or anything. So I decided to see if I could do a character that was just a man being right there, right now, and not knowing what would happen afterwards. So I think, like, when you say it's kind of minimalistic, that was kind of what I was going for. Not being too expressive with my face, because I can do that too, but it's here. Just wanted to be a man, and it was also, I was kind of scruffy looking at the time. I had the big Corona hair and the big Corona beard, and just being a man who just let go in some way of himself, not being this guy who had been groomed just before. He was just there. So I really tried to just being present.
Yeah, well, it worked very well, and I think, a big part of what gives the film its heart is your performance, and there's a lovely subtlety there, and it's really quite touching then, when it's revealed that this is the day you're going to be switching off the life support for your wife. What I also noticed about the film was that there was a very interesting dynamic between the three characters in the bar. They're all very different, right? So do you want to talk a bit about that, Martin? Like, I mean, where you kind of get the antagonist in Freeman's character, the manager sitting at the desk, but then there's sort of like the barmaid kind of, she feels a bit sorry for you or something, doesn't she? So it was a really interesting dynamic. Is that something that you had kind of planned on, Martin?
Yeah, one of the things I wanted it to feel like is that this bar, these two people in the bar, they're not married, but they could have been. I mean, it's like
right.
They are so accustomed to being close to each other that they tease each other all the time. She knows exactly which buttons to touch, to yank, right? So
she knows how to get around him, doesn't she? Yeah.
And he has a feeling that he has authority of the bar, but she in a way she's the heart of the bar. And one of the things that she finds out quickly is that there's something going on inside here. And as experienced she is being behind the bar, she becomes curious as what is happening, and then being able to yank his leg over there is always good. And that guy, he also went from being all about money to being more that he didn't want to be bothered in a way. And he has this thing about his authority being questioned, and that's actually what makes him want to be man.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's a right grump.
Yeah.
But I think that's where a lot of the comedy comes from. Is it Ole? How do you pronounce his name? Is it Ole?
Ole, yeah.
Ole, yeah, who plays Preben, right? But I found it quite funny, like, where he says, no, karaoke's only on the weekends, because you know why? Because that's my time off. And I couldn't help but chuckle, but at the same time he plays it very straight, and I think that's what makes it so funny, because he's not playing it for the laughs. It just is quite funny, the situation. So
and we talked a bit with Ole about this, having a barkeep who's kind of jealous when his bartender, she's flirting with the customers. It's kind of counterproductive, because first of all, it's been going on for 20 years, so you have had a hard time for 20 years, and that's kind of also part of the uniform, that you have to flirt with customers. So having this barkeep that's a little bit jealous of everything that goes on in the bar is also funny.
Yeah, and there's a really nice chemistry as well between you and Camilla, who plays the bar girl, and all of you, I think, just kind of work together. It'd be a very different mood if you took any one of them away. If it was just you who came in and it was Preben, it wouldn't work. It'd be a very cold atmosphere. But Camilla is kind of like there in the middle, and kind of the buffer between you. So how did you find working with the two other actors, Rasmus?
Well, I've known them for a long time. I actually I played with both Camilla and Ole before, and Camilla's kind of like everybody's mother on film and TV in Denmark. So you always get this very heartfelt and lovely connection with her when you play with her, because she's just a lovely woman. And the fun thing that I knew on the summer we're going to have the Euro 2020 in Copenhagen. I was going to be presenting for the UEFA on the UEFA stage, and I asked Camilla to be my co-host there. So we had that going on the side. We talked about that, and it's just Ole is a great improviser. He's really, really good at that. So you will always get something from him. If you give him something, you'll get something back.
So was there much improvisation with it, or was that all scripted? Or
I think between those two there were more.
Yeah, we did. I mean, we had an entire day in the bar where we ran through the script and we improvised some of the. I mean, specifically some of the interaction between Ole and Camilla. We came up with in that day. So that was so that we were using Ole's, and some of the lines that ended up in the script, like this is not a place for homeless and stuff like that. That was something that came from him, and he touched me or something.
Right. So Kim, how many days were you shooting for with the film? It's quite neat because you've got like it's just 2 locations. Am I right? Yeah, and 3 actors. So it's. Yeah, I just like how long did it take to shoot?
Maybe I should ask that.
No, I mean it took I think 4 days, kind of mixed, right, Martin?
Yeah, 4 days, 3 days in the bar, and 1 day in the hospital, and the tiniest crew you could imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the sort of story that you can shoot during a pandemic. You can, it's easy to.
I mean, we had Corona lockdown. You could only be 10 people, right? So we were 6 crew members and 3 actors. Right. The tiniest crew you could imagine at all.
And was it self-funded, or was it commissioned by anyone, or?
I mean, we started out self-funded, so it's self-funded, and we've been able to get some funding across, and Kim has been helpful with also helping with that, and but we started up completely self-funded.
But no institutional funding. I mean, like the film commission or anything like that. So it's our own financing, and then got some help from some of the director, writer, and actors guild that could put some money in there. So film business, have another question just about the cinematography, Martin. Did you want to say something about that? They said the cinematography is fantastic. Can you tell us more about who you worked with?
Oh, I love to say that to Ian. Ian is a guy I went to film school with. He's a cinematographer from film school. And one of the things we talked about when we came into the bar is like, we wanted to kind of have an old-fashioned feeling, also in the cinematography and the lighting. And we looked at old Kaurismäki films to get that kind of a little hard lighting from the end, because it fits so well with both the characters, and it fits so well with that mood we wanted in the film. So, and that's why we had this. Everything is on a tripod, only 2 camera movements, something like that in the film because of that. Yeah. So that's, I think the cinematography is very, very good as well.
Right. Yeah. No, really, really nicely done. Yeah. So where are you in the festival run with this then? Has it just kind of started, or are you somewhere around the middle, or?
No, we're somewhere around the middle now. Yeah, we started out in last year. No, we premiered at LA Shorts last year, and then Odense right after, and then we are on to the festivals now, and still hoping to get another good year on the festival.
Bambino asks, is it available for public viewing anywhere, or? It's only in festivals, I'm guessing. Is it at the moment? It's not, yeah. But so what's next for it?
I mean, it will. It's at festivals right now, and of course, knock on wood. If there was wood to knock on a Zoom call, then if we make the nominations, it will travel with the rest of the nominees in the short film Reach Out by Short Film International around the world. And then we have different offers from different sales agencies to represent us. So we're looking into different options right now.
Okay, great. So Martin, then back to you. What would you like people to take away from the film after they've seen it?
Oh wow! But one of the things that I want them to, well, maybe, because I find that the people connect to it, I won't say they connect to it differently. They all connect to it very emotionally. But as I said before, some are kind of analyzing it into the whole Corona environment. And I had this guy came the other day and said, well, my father just died. So when I saw this, it was, for me, it is about being me right now and losing my father. And then I feel kind of, I hate being where I am, but there's also feeling that there's a kind of hope in it. But I would say that one of the things that's important for Henrik as a character, and why I hope that in 2 years he'll be able to still think about her, is because he connects and gets, should I say, aligned with her death by saying a proper goodbye. Because if he couldn't do that, then he couldn't go back and remember her. So she'll die twice. Also her memories, yeah. And that's something that I wanted, that was kind of important for me, because it's important to keep those, not being afraid of going back into that wound in a way.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, you know, it's a lovely film, you know, and it's great to hear your story of how it's, you know, so personal to you and where it came from. You know, it's great to see it on the short list there. I really hope it gets a nomination and goes all the way. And you know, Kim needs more space on his shelf there for another Oscar, right? You know, and no, it'd be great to see it go all the way. So the very best of luck with it all, and thanks so much to all of you for joining us, and thanks to all the journalists who joined us as well, and thanks for all your questions. It's been really great chatting to all of you. Okay, thanks very much. All the best.